When I was a child, that made sense. But once I become a man, I need to stop and say, well, wait, that doesn't make sense. I ought to be thinking differently. I should understand things differently. A child's understanding is different, and the reasoning is different as well. That thinking and the reasoning is different. The understanding is different, but the reasoning, that process is different as well. I'm a cartoon guy, and there's a cartoon, Bugs and Daphne. They're on their way to Pismo Beach. I don't know if you remember that one. And so they're digging under the ground and everything, and Daphne comes up and he says, oh my goodness, this is the worst place for our duck to travel. You know, he has a problem because he's been all under the sand. I don't know how long they've been there, but they finally come up, and there they are, and I'm guessing they're somewhere in Arabia or somewhere. I don't know, somewhere in Asia. I don't know. So he goes inside the cave, and there's all of these diamonds and jewels and everything. And so while Bugs is trying to figure out the map, where are we and how do we get back? Daphne starts jumping on his head, screaming, it's mine, mine, it's all mine. The reasoning is, because you are with me, you are going to try to take what I have. And because I see it, it's mine. And so many men are the same way. They are so threatened and insecure that just because someone looks at your girlfriend, looks at your wife, that they are now going to start a plot to steal this person away from you. And what do? You grab her, mine, it's all mine, it's mine. And if we'll go a little bit farther, if you see her look back, even if she's just looking in the direction, it's probably grabbing her like this, saying she's mine, mine, all mine. There's something wrong when you shift from being a child to being a man, but still keep that same reasoning. This is the case with some of the mentally developmentally challenged people, is that when they're a kid and you can control them. Sometimes, they'll fall on the ground, they'll do different things, and you can still control them. But once they get to be 25, 30 years old, we were in a game store, and this kid he was almost your size. He's huge. And the mother is trying to tell him he can't have one game, and he wanted one game. You got two at home and all this stuff. And I'm just like, Lord, help her. Because it's going to take four of us to restrain her if we have to. But so often, that's what happens with men, is that they were little kids, and now they become big kids, and their reasoning is still that of a child. Thinking that it's mine, it's all mine. Someone I know just broke up, and when they posted it on Facebook, what they said was, I'm in a place where I can move my own furniture wherever I want to move it. And it started off as a nice, gentle, well, it didn't work out, we're no longer together. And then she went, slam! Wow. Because now we all can see into their relationship. And we can see that at least she felt, most likely it's true, but just she felt that here was this child that grew up to be a bigger child, and to say, mine, it's all mine. I don't know, maybe that relates to somebody. A child's thought process is different. The reasoning is different. It seemed like a good idea, but they never follow it to the end. It made perfect sense when he said, I'm going to go hang out with the boys all night. It made perfect sense until the next morning. And they're always, look, you know what? She'll never know. It made so much sense until you did. When they told you to pick up the crate, and you said, oh, I don't need to pick up no crate, because I picked up crates for 12 years, I ain't picking up no more. It sounded so good when it played through your reasoning. But then when they said you are fired, it didn't make as much sense anymore. Just something happened, there was a disconnect. The reasoning is, in the moment, in the heat of that moment, our thinking says one thing, but there's a disconnect, and we don't see what's happening at the end of the road. We don't see that's when I was a child. But once I became a man, that ought to change. We were talking about Saul earlier, and Saul was in a position where he decided, we're waiting for Samuel, and Samuel's taking too long to get here, and the Philistines are going to come down on us, and he goes through this whole process, and so there he is, and he's made the sacrifices, and Samuel shows up, and he says, well, what did you do? And so Samuel goes through the list of things, and he says, well, you know, what happened was, when I saw the people scattering, and you didn't show up on time, and the Philistines were gathered, I forced myself to do the burnt offering. And that's how children reason. And that's how big children reason. Because what we see is that, yeah, I may have done it. I may have been the one that sinned. I may have been the one that blew it. But you made me do what I did. Because had the Philistines not gotten together where they were, and had you shown up on time, and had the people not scattered, and had all these things not happened, then it wouldn't have turned out the way it turned out. In fact, now that I think about this, I should get some credit for my restraint. It took me a while to get to the point where I had to force myself. You saw it with Adam and Eve. Adam, tell me what's going on here. Well, the woman you gave me. See, that's the reasoning, that's the rationale of children. He hit me first. He said it first. He talked about my hand. Well, he called me short. Whatever. Anyway. That's the reasoning of children. And there we have an image of Adam doing the same thing. Blame it on Eve. Blame it on God. Blame it on anybody. I may have done it, but they made me do it. What does Eve do? Eve says, I'll do the same thing. It's the serpent. He beguiled me. Now it's interesting that Adam blamed everybody, and Eve blamed the serpent, but Eve did not blame Adam. You ever catch that? She didn't say, well, he's supposed to be protecting me. He's supposed to be watching over me. I wasn't there. You gave him the instruction. Maybe something was lost in translation. No, she doesn't blame Adam. And how many women, well, why isn't he working? Well, you know, he's tired. He's been working all his life. And now he's 18. He's a little tired. So I just let him lay up on my sofa and just rest. Well, why isn't he going to school or something? Well, you know, he's not that good at math and stuff. So he's just going to sit and wait for the phone to ring so he can work in construction with his uncle. Yeah. Well, why did he cheat on you? Because sometimes, you know, I don't like the stuff he likes, and you know, and my cousin is really attractive. I don't understand. Why did he put his hands on you? It was my fault because he was stressing, and I know when he's stressing, I need to just leave him alone. But no, there I was trying to give him his dinner. I don't understand it. But we blame everybody. When I was a child, this is how I was. This is what I did. But when you become a man, you got to make some shifts. You got to get to a place where you put away childish things. Where it's no longer about you. It's no longer that you speak and act and think selfishly. There needs to be a shift. Now, up until about a year and a half ago, I played Madden. Most of you remember those summers I mentioned Madden. You know, I don't even know what number we're on right now, but you know, I learned. It was an educational process. I learned more about football by playing Madden. Yes, that's how I'm going to reason this. You know, but it came to a point where I had to let it go because I realized that when I was a child, I could play Atari, and I could play Atari 360, and I could play this, and I can go to the video. And even when I was in computer school, the professor was expecting that I was growing up, and so I should be able to leave it alone. But while we're on break, I should have been, according to him, you know, I'm supposed to be trying to figure out the work. And I'm like, figure out the work, I got to get to the next level. But when you become a man, you have to put away childish things. And sometimes putting away childish things means putting away the remote. When was the last time you had a conversation with your children, or with your spouse, or with your mother, or with someone that mattered, but a lot of times we're like, I'll get right to it. As soon as the commercial, where's my credit card? Where's my credit card? Commercial, we're buying stuff and we can't talk to anybody then, but then we gotta putting away things. And sometimes the ways we put away are the things we put away, and sometimes we need to put away our remote. Sometimes we need to put away the Xbox and put away the PS4s and all the other new gadgets. At some point, we need to grow out of the gadget phase. You open the refrigerator, there's nothing there. You open your drawer, it's filled with gadgets. What the term used to use, ragamuffins. Children looking like ragamuffins, but every time something new comes down the pipe, you gotta have the latest. I gotta get that latest so-and-so. I gotta get the Galaxy 94. Because then I can put on my big helmet and I can walk out in space. I'm not hating, I don't get one once everybody said, you know. But sometimes when you become a man, you start to prioritize differently. And it's not all about you. It really becomes about them. About the things of God and the people of God around you. You put away your time in exchange for family time. The selfish ways you say, this is my man cave and my man time. And so that basically means you have 2 hours to spend with the family. And so you go from work, you spend 5 hours by yourself, and you got 2 hours or less to spend with the family. But when you become a man, you start to put those things in proper perspective. And it's no longer just about you. You put away your own needs, your own wants, your own desires. I remember one year, I had one of my own Xbox, and so I put one on layaway because I was going to be responsible. I was going to be a man. That's right. So a man does. A man doesn't just spend money you don't have. You put it on layaway. And so there I was, Xbox on layaway, and I'm picking away, and a need came up in the family. I didn't go asking my wife, hoping that she would say, oh dear, no, you keep that on layaway. You just, no, I didn't even ask her. I didn't ask my kids, are you really hungry? Or, do you really want me to pay the light bill? No. Whatever that need was, I just went down there and I said, I need to take this off of layaway. Because when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, I reasoned that as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things, and I said, I don't need it. Now, of course, a little while later, somebody gave me one. In fact, the family gave me one. When times got a little bit better. But now I don't have time for it because I'm realizing I've got to be a grown-up. And the time that I spend hanging with the boys, I could be spending hanging with my boys. The time I could spend doing all those other things, I could be spending developing my relationship with my wife and my children and my church and building the kingdom. It changes. As a child, it was all about me. But when I become a man, it's all about love. So all about the love that I have for God and the love that I have for my family and the love I have about those around me. My words and my understanding, my reasoning and my actions, they all have to be rooted and grounded in love and not in me. So you want to find out if this is a boy or a man, all you have to do is find out what is the center of his universe. Because if he's in the center of his universe and somebody's like, yeah, hey, look, I'm just a squirrel in your world trying to get a nut. That's all I am. Well, that says a lot about, He won't tell you that because he'll be like, no, you're the center of my world. All the way up until you ask him to do something. All the way up until you ask them to be differently or to report. And I'm not saying change your personality. You'd be shocked how many women ask guys not to watch certain things on TV or the computer and they are denied. I'm just going to put it that way. Don't come this way for counseling. Not narrow counseling. We'll counsel you over that. As a man, I have to be controlled by love. A love that's patient and kind and not envious or arrogant or proud. A love that's not conceited or rude or selfish. I didn't have to be that way as a child, but as a man, I do. I can't be annoyed or resentful, not if I'm a man and drenched in God's kind of love. As a man, I have to be controlled by love that's not glad when sin wins out, but sides with the truth. And I'm pleased when the truth wins. As a man, I'm called to demonstrate a love that bears up under all things, believes all things, believes the best in all things. Why are you always being accused of stuff? Or why are you always accusing people of stuff and calling it love? If I'm a man, I have to yield to a love that has ultimate hope. No limitations to it at all. I believe it's going to be better. I believe I'm going to be better. I'm not going to stay sitting on the couch because I'm going to get a job today. I didn't get it today. We know I didn't get that job today because God's got a better one waiting for me tomorrow. I'm going to get back up. I'm going to